Hello everyone, my name is John Suits. I am the founder of Greenfish Nation Tournaments, Series, Trails, and Challenges. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm 53 years old. I started fishing when I was 5. I remember my very first fishing trip was with my dad and a really good friend of his. We went out to a little watershed project that the government had put together. We called it a conservation lake. My dad and his friends spent most of their day fishing in a little 12-foot flat bottom boat. I spent most of my day bailing water out of the boat, but I did catch a couple fish that day, and from that moment on I was hooked on bass fishing. As I grew up in my teenage years, I made a friend at school, and his name was Michael, and his dad's name was Marshall, and Lake Fork had came into existence about that time here in Texas, and I remember the days where you could go out and put a purple worm on with a white tail and go out and just hit any area that had timber in it, and it wasn't unheard of to put 100 fish a day in the boat. I spent many hours with Michael and Marshall on the lake. My dad was a truck driver, so I fished with him whenever I could, and Michael and Marshall filled in the gaps. But we had lots of great times fishing and eating hoagie sandwiches from Star Mart and just being kids. Later on, as I became an adult, I worked for my grandfather in the construction business. He was a home builder, and I remember the first thing I analyzed when I pulled up to a new job site was where was the closest water? Where was I going to spend my lunch hour? Everyone else brought a lunch pail to work. John brought a rod and reel. So I spent a good majority of my time fishing, even at work. When I was on break, if it was for a 15-minute break or for an hour lunch, I had a rod and reel in my hand. We built a house out at a place called Harmon Lake. It was a little small private lake outside of Point, Texas, and there was a gentleman there that I became friends with. His name was Tim Blaylock. And Tim had an old 86 Skeeter, but man, it would get us on the water, and we spent many hours fishing Lake Fork during the day and also at night. I remember one time Tim and I went out and we really slayed on a black jitterbug on a full moon night over in a well-known area of Lake Fork, and we just had a great time. I remember have so many great memories of meeting people and friends, and fishing is always a part of it. I currently have 3 kids, and they are really eat up with fishing as well. I don't get to get them out as much as I used to because, nowadays kids are more interested in tablets and computers and all that, and that's well and good, but I try to get them out as much as I can. I have spent most of my adult life in a bass boat, pleasure fishing as well as fishing tournaments. But I have recently gotten into the kayak scene, but before that I fished a lot with 2 really good friends of mine. I am currently a paramedic for a living, and both of these gentlemen are avid bass fishermen and paramedics as well. Mitchell Vines and Brandon Murphy. We spent a lot of time decompressing on a bass boat and developed really good friendships. Prior to EMS, I was a dog trainer. That was post-construction, pre-paramedic. I trained professionally for field trials and hunt tests and was very successful at that. I enjoyed that lifestyle, but the Lord led me to EMS, and so that's where I went. And later on, Brandon and Mitchell both moved on to other careers, and that kind of left me by myself fishing. So therefore, I elected to park the bass boat. I still have it, but it stays in the shed most of the time because I currently have a Perception 11.5 Outlaw kayak that I really enjoy working on, rigging out, fishing in, and this kayak led me to create Greenfish Nation Tournament Series Trails and Challenges. And I have done nothing but met great people in the kayak world. I'm looking forward to a very good year in 2024 for our group here. We can be found on Facebook at Greenfish Nation Kayak Tournaments Series Trails and Challenges. There are many opportunities for you to competitively fish with us, but guys, those will be covered in another podcast. I just wanted to get on here and tell you a little bit about myself, and I want to thank you for joining us. I look forward to seeing you guys on the leaderboards. Until next time, I'm John with Greenfish Nation, and I want to wish all you guys tight lines.